What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Jordy, and welcome back to some more F1 25 driver career mode for the Monaco Grand Prix. And if you missed last episode, it was the point of the season that I was telling you guys for the last few episodes that it was going to come eventually, where our top five consistent top five results would finally start falling down in a convincing fashion, with our rivals around us, including Haas bringing in some upgrades. I think Haas, especially for the last couple of races, just got their first points of the season with a double P9 for Ocon. Would have been P8, but we fought really hard to cling on to it, that is for sure. But yeah, the guys around us, Leclerc, Piastri, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Russell, those are the guys that are all going to be overtaking us at some point, and Imola was the time where Hamilton, Piastri and Leclerc did finally overtake us in the driver's standings. In terms of the constructors, we're still kind of waiting for George Russell to get out of his poor run of form. I guess it's not even down to his form, to be honest. He's just been really unlucky with his car this season. I think he's already had like a DNF. Piastri's had 2 DNFs. Russell's had some unlucky qualifying sessions as well. So as soon as he gets out of that poor run of form, he's going to overtake us, and in turn Mercedes will overtake VCARB in the constructors. We're still waiting on driver updates, of course. Piastri and Hadjar are the ones that need it the most, and Antonelli, I suppose. Yeah, Antonelli, because he's only got like 7 points. I think he might have finished in the points last episode if it weren't for that DNF. But yeah, that's all for Imola. This episode is the Monaco Grand Prix, and this is an interesting one. Of course, the real-life 2025 Formula 1 season mandated 2 pit stops in an attempt to change, in an attempt to make a more entertaining race. Obviously, that didn't quite pan out, along with a bunch of team games, but this is a video game, so I'm quite curious to see how it's going to work and if it can really save Monaco, to be honest, because usually I put Monaco out of the calendar as soon as Season 1 finishes, and it never returns. I don't think we ever did Monaco again after Season 1, maybe once. I think maybe we did it in Season 5, the final season of F1 23, my team, but other than that, we didn't do any Monaco in between. So if this race goes really well, then I might debate leaving Monaco on the calendar, but it really does depend on whether or not that's any good. In terms of our parts in development, I'm pretty sure we don't have any coming into this weekend. It's a bit boring going into this weekend. There's nothing going on after Imola. We've just gone right to the next part of the calendar. Although, did we get any R&D points that I could spend? Yes. Okay, so I want something to do with the tyres, because, yeah, we've got that coming in 7 days, the tyre analytics data. And in terms of durability, we could have a look at this. We could get a lot of this, but I'm really not fussed about any of my engine wear so far, other than the turbocharger, which we've updated. So I guess the only thing we've got is maybe the front nose cone structure for the chassis. The chassis, of course, is our weakest part, but I don't have the sufficient enough points for it. But I will after the practice sessions at Monaco. We could also do the rear wing upper flap. We're also pretty low down the order on aero, but between the two, I think judging from our development circle thing in the bottom right, we definitely need to do chassis as much as possible, get that up. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say going into this weekend. There's really nothing else to say, so without further ado, let's get into qualifying, the most important qualifying session in Formula 1. It's time for the Monaco Grand Prix.
Now, if you ask anyone who's raced here, they'll tell you, nowhere in the world is more important to get a high qualifying position than here on the windy, chicaney, challenging streets of Monaco. We're about to set the grid for tomorrow's race, but potentially for the end of the race too. So welcome along, everyone, to the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying.
Well, here we are at the most important qualifying of the entire season, the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying. And to be honest with you guys, past instances of Monaco have never really been any good. Of course, there's a bit more of uncertainty at play with the mandatory two-stop, but pace has always been pretty quick around here for us. F123, we actually ended up winning the entire Grand Prix. I think it was our very first win on that entire game with the Season 1 My Team car, crazy enough. The AI have just never been too quick around here, so I'm a little bit afraid to see what's going to happen. It's never been too bad. It wasn't too bad in F124 if I remember rightly, but yeah, we still have the AI set to 102, of course, so it's the exact same difficulty as I've had for the vast majority of the season, other than I think round one. I think round one was different. I think we started at like just 100 there once we realised how quick we were in qualifying, or was it practice? Either way, it's at 102, so I'm hoping the AI is pretty quick around here, and I'm also hoping that we get a good position regardless of that, as Charles Leclerc sets a 1 minute 13.7. We're going to set a 112.9, so that's not a good sign straight away. In fact, this might be the worst I've ever seen it, but we finished qualifying 1, and even Max Verstappen isn't quicker than us, so we're very quick around Monaco at this particular difficulty, and unfortunately, I can't just go to the menu and up the difficulty for this particular specific instance, but we reached the end of Q2 now, and the only person who's gone faster than me is Piastri, but we're like 7 tenths up, 8 tenths, 9 tenths, 1 second up on that original time, which I think was on a scrubbed set of tyres, so 7 tenths ahead. I think it's becoming very clear at this point that the AI is incredibly, disgustingly slow around Monaco, which is such a shame, but it just gives me a whole nother reason to just remove Monaco in future. I think I'll give it another chance in like season 2, like we'll probably up it to 110, but as we cross the line, we're going to take pole position for the Monaco Grand Prix, just a complete and utter domination, and I can't help but feel like I cheated the game a little bit. It just feels like an exploit, and so it doesn't really feel good to pick up that first pole position. It's kind of been ruined a little bit for me, so because of the fact that I feel it's an exploit, I just would never forgive myself if I went and did the race and made that my first win of the entire game. I just can't do that. Maybe this annoys some of you guys, but I just wouldn't be able to live with myself throughout the rest of the series if, you know, our very first win was, you know, around a track that the AI are just broken at, to be quite honest. So I've made the decision to put in a new gearbox. We're going to be starting at the back of the grid, and if the difficulty was anything to go by in qualifying, we shouldn't have too tough of a time in the race. We'll just see how many places we can make up and where we could end up at the end.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That's how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers.
Okay, we might be at the back of the grid and it's not the best place to start, but keep your chin up and push hard. It's Formula One. Anything can happen.
Well, here we are, the moment that everybody's been excited about, the mandatory two-stop around Monaco being in the F1 game. So the standard strategy was a mediums to hards to mediums, but I feel like since we're starting at the back of the grid, it would be a lot more worthwhile to have the faster tyres first and then undercut at the end of the second stint to go on to the hards till the very end. A very similar strategy to what we did in Imola, I think. So yeah, here we go for the Monaco formation lap. So Sonoda's at the back as well, Alonso's at the back, so a few drivers have gotten grid penalties, of course. We might find it a bit difficult to get past Yuki Tsunoda, so we need to make sure that we get off the line really well. But yeah, I'm a little bit excited to see how this will go. Monaco in the game has always been drastically different to the real life product, as in you could actually make overtakes in the game. Not very often, and it is still pretty challenging, but yeah, I'm quite curious to see how quick the AI are going to be, because if qualifying was anything to go by, this will not be difficult at all, and we might even still win the race, and I'll feel a lot better if we win the race like this. But either way, 5 red lights have gone out, and it's Oscar Piastri who gets an amazing start, and he's now side by side with Max Verstappen, swooping around the outside. Oscar Piastri, P1 in the Monaco Grand Prix, and it is going to be extremely difficult for Max to retake that position. Another huge mistake from Max Verstappen. The same thing happened in Imola, and I mean, who knows, maybe he could do an undercut again like he did in Imola to regain the position on Lando. But still, either way, back to our POV, we've gotten past Tsunoda, we've gotten past Jack Doohan, and now we've gotten past Alonso and managed to try to go side by side with Gasly through this hairpin here, 2 by 2 on numerous occasions here. So the AI definitely still fighting around Monaco, even though the pace is definitely down. But so far, so good. Unfortunately, our teammate is actually holding up Bortoleto and Gasly. So there's already a gap beginning to form in what was a little train of cars like there usually is in Monaco. But yeah, I think Bortoleto may have had a go against Hadjar, and Hadjar defended, and now we've got a bit of a gap out in front, which makes it even more critical that we get past these cars as quickly as we possibly can, as Oscar Piastri sets the fastest lap at the end of lap 1, and we are just following Gasly through like typical Monaco. So yeah, behind us, Tsunoda's been dropped about 8 tenths, so I don't think we'll be worrying about him anytime soon, as we now skip ahead to lap 2, still chasing down Pierre Gasly. But I think we're close enough for a bit of a dive bomb here. What a move! Banging tyres just a little bit, but it's as respectful as it can possibly be between me and the Frenchman there, both giving each other plenty of space, or as much as we possibly could, without jeopardizing too much around this track. And we have taken P16, so from P20 on the grid to P16 within a couple of laps is a pretty good start, if I do say so myself, as we now chase down Gabriel Bortoleto in the kick Sauber here. Hadjar's actually managed to gap Bortoleto a little bit by over 5 tenths. I wonder what happened between those two. Maybe Bortoleto's just going slow, maybe he's got a mechanical issue. Either way, we're going to dive down the inside here. What a move! In a very unorthodox place. I don't think I've ever done an overtake through there, and because of that, that's jeopardized Bortoleto's racing line down the main straight, as Pierre Gasly looks to have a go at him. He might have engine problems, I don't know. Bortoleto is looking unreasonably slow, even by the Kick Sauber standards, but he does manage to stay ahead of Pierre Gasly for the time being, as we now go on to lap 5, right up the chaff of our teammate right here. And honestly, he's making things a bit more difficult than they should be. I really wish we had team orders for the AI, because he really should be getting out of the way here. He is nowhere near as quick as I am around this track right now, and he's just defending so awkwardly there. So I couldn't even go for a dive bomb the way I did on Gasly, because again, Hadjar's defending so awkwardly. But the AI is really slow around that particular corner, as you could probably tell, as I do another overtake in that same one. So yeah, the Monaco AI is insanely bad. 102 difficulty. This might be the worst version of Monaco I think I've ever played. So to be fair though, we haven't found much wrong with F1 25, so this track being like the one thing isn't a big deal, but it is an entire track, you know. I wish I would have tested the race beforehand, as we make another copycat move on Oliver Behrman there for P13. I think I'm going to make it a tradition from now on when we get the new F1 game to just test Monaco on my own in Grand Prix mode, just to see how it is, so we don't get occasions like this where I go in with my consistent difficulty that I have on every single other track and somehow dominate, and then that kind of jeopardizes the rest of the weekend and makes the content a little bit awkward. Again, I really hope nobody's mad at what I'm doing here, starting at the back of the grid instead of on pole position, but I really don't want my first win of the season to come about like that. Of the season or of the career. I don't want it to come about like that. If this had happened in like season 2, 3, whatever, fair game. But this is season 1, and it just, it's unrealistic to the rest of the game. Me, being able to win like that, it just feels like an exploit. As once again, another dive bomb on Antonelli this time. Even this kind of feels a bit like an exploit, but obviously all the cars ahead have a bit of a head start, especially the top guys, the guys that we usually compete with as we hit the wall a little bit here. I am still pushing, obviously. I don't want to give myself a handicap just to make it easier for the AI, but we pretty much wore those mediums as much as we possibly could. I was not able to catch up to Carlos Sainz in the coming laps, so it's time to pit. Lap 13, it's time to get onto a new set of mediums. It seems as though most of the grid is doing hards, mediums, we're definitely gaining a lot of time in the early goings here, which is really good for us because ain't nobody going to be overtaking us later on by the time we do go on the slower compound. It's just how much positions can we gain while on the mediums as we now come out in completely clean air. I think my teammate actually pitted the lap before, so he's not too far behind. I don't know where he'll end up by the end of the race, but hopefully maybe in the points. Fingers crossed. It's not going to happen because of how low his overall is, but who knows? We'll see. As we now pretty much skip ahead once more to lap 14. Alex Albon is coming out. This is the guy that we're going to be chasing at this point as we now swoop through the first turn just behind Albon, but we have so much pace on these now rubbered in mediums versus Albon on the hards as we dive down the inside going into Casino Square side by side with Albon. Albon just staying ahead. It's kind of like a prey running away from the hunter right now as once again we make a little dive bomb, and this time we make the move stick. So nice little battle there with Albon, but we have a lot more rubber with the mediums to work with, or rather a lot less and more grip, as we now set our sights once again towards the likes of Jack Doohan and Alonso. So I don't think these guys have pitted yet, so I think that just goes to show just how much quicker we are against the guys that we are normally on the same pace as. It's just such a shame. I can't believe they would let it ship like this. Like, did they even test Monaco? Because it is excruciatingly slow. And again, I'm on 102 difficulty as I was about to make another copycat move on Jack Doohan there, but I wasn't sure if he was going to pit. I didn't notice Gasly wasn't too far ahead. So, honestly, I could have saved myself a whole bunch of time, but now we're going to dive to the inside of Jack Doohan here. We've got 10 seconds of clean air ahead of us as we are now up into P7. 11 seconds ahead is the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton. We're usually competing with the Ferraris if the rest of the season's anything to go by. I say competing, we are definitely a lot slower than the Ferraris. We just happen to have a better qualifying because they always bottle it, and we end up just defending for our lives. But having to catch up to Hamilton isn't going to work out, and it hasn't at all as we now move ahead to our pit lap of lap 24. We managed to get around 2 seconds ahead of Albon, but we gained very little to no time on Lewis Hamilton at all. But who knows? Let's see what happens on this final stint as we are now on to the hards. for the remaining 16 or so laps. Unfortunately, we're going to be coming out in a lot of traffic. We do manage to just about keep ahead of Carlos Sainz, but he is trying to challenge us here. So side by side coming up the hill here, just about managing to keep it, but I had to use a lot of ERS to be able to do so, which could jeopardize us in the long run here. We're going to look for a little dive bomb on Antonelli. I am desperate to get past all these cars and move on with my race and perhaps even catch up to Lewis Hamilton. P6 could be up for grabs or whatever it could be. I don't know what's going on up top as we dive on the inside of Behrman there at the end of the hairpin section. So a really good move there. That's the first time we've done that move this race, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. I think I might have done it prior. But now we look to chase after Nico Hülkenberg and Lance Stroll, and that is pretty much the end of the train there. Lance Stroll in P9. I don't know where that is once everybody's pit stops have done, but yeah, we're looking pretty good in terms of pace, making copycat moves over and over. Again, Monaco is just so easy. It wasn't. It was a little fun to drive, doing the whole last to first thing. I'm glad that I did that. And didn't start from pole position, because again, like I said, I just wouldn't have been able to live with myself if that was my first win of the entire year, just exploiting what is really weak AI around Monaco. But chasing down Lance Stroll now, we've got Lando Norris 10 seconds ahead of us in P8. So I think Ocon's up there as well if you look at the mini-map. So Ocon's flying high in the Haas just like in Imola, as we are now going to dive bomb Lance Stroll here, making contact with the wall a little bit. Maybe we've got a bit of damage, I don't know, but we are side by side with Lance through the Monaco tunnel. Wow! But we make the overtake. That was pretty cool, actually, doing that. For sure, but now we've got acres of space ahead of us. I think the ones we can really overtake later on will be Albon and Russell. Not Albon and Russell, Albon and Ocon, who have yet to pit, as we are now up into P8. So I think one of those guys have pitted. Probably Albon. Ocon likes to go long if Imola was anything to go by, but we are now rapidly catching up to Lewis Hamilton. It's only took us about 4 laps to get within 2 seconds. So yeah, that's good. And we've even gained about a second on Lando Norris, or a few seconds on Lando. Those guys are probably going on their last stint, maybe, I don't know. Highly unlikely for us to catch Lando in time, so this will be our position, maybe fighting for P7. Actually P6, as Albon and Russell have now pitted, so perhaps we could get a P5 in this Monaco Grand Prix, as Leclerc has also come out just ahead of Hamilton. No way we're catching him. He is on fresh mediums, so we can forget about Leclerc, but Hamilton is looking particularly slow on those mediums. He also pitted a bit earlier as well, so we're going to skip ahead to lap 35, right on the back of Lewis Hamilton here, chasing him through sector 3 here, jumping over the curb. We could go for that copycat move right here, as we now dive on the inside of the final corner. That is P5 gained for us, so a really good race for us. That definitely feels really good, and I'm cool with the consistent positioning with the rest of the races that we've had this season, as opposed to what would have been if we had gone with what I'm just going to call an exploit at this point, and took the position, the easy victory. But there's Oscar Piastri still ahead. Max Verstappen will be chasing him the whole way, but he can't seem to get close to him. He wins the Monaco Grand Prix, followed by Max Verstappen. Lando Norris, strong in P3. He'll continue to lead the championship. Charles Leclerc will be disappointed to not finish on that Monaco podium, and we have a strong P5 on what was once again a disappointing Monaco Grand Prix. This just isn't a fun track to play. I'm getting up to the point that if I ever choose to do a 16 race season instead, for a first season in future F1 games, I'm absolutely removing Monaco, because this is just boring.
Oscar Piastri.
To overcome the difficult circumstances they face throughout this race today, Crofty, it's not easy, and it really shows a lot of maturity, and you can use this, you can draw on this as a driver moving forward and boost your confidence through the rest of the championship.
From lights out to the checkered flag, each and every driver has this moment in the back of their mind. Now it's time for their celebrations. Our podium, it awaits. They give out trophies for the winners. Today, they're Oscars. Your winner today, Oscar Piastri.
Well, that is a much-needed victory for Oscar Piastri, of course, especially while he's underrated in the driver ratings. So, yeah, that will be a very important victory for him in terms of the overall title fight. It is getting closer between Verstappen, Norris, and Piastri, of course, and Verstappen still finishes ahead of Norris, so in the grand scheme of things, he won't be too sad about that, but actually knowing Max Verstappen, he probably would be. But hopefully that does drive him to get better race starts in future, because that is the second time in a row that he bottled a race start, and this time he wasn't able to make it back up. So, yeah, strong victory for Oscar Piastri. Verstappen and Norris, the title fight is starting to heat up. Piastri is just a couple of big points away versus those two from getting back into or getting into the title fight proper. So, yeah, pretty close there. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Of course, we are still ahead of Mercedes in the constructors standings due to Russell still not picking up strong results. Maybe that Mercedes is just crap. I don't think it is. Russell is doing okay, I suppose. It's Antonelli that's, you know, kind of holding that team back. Once Antonelli starts gaining points, once he gets that driver rating upgrade, again, like I keep saying, Mercedes will definitely overtake us. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. Pretty disappointing. Hopefully Monaco AI gets fixed. I'll give it another chance next season on a higher AI difficulty. But, yeah, Season 2 will probably be the final time you see Monaco. And I'm very tempted to just not do it at all in F1 26. I probably will with the new regs, but yeah, Monaco is a disappointing track against the AI every year, and this year it's probably the worst it's ever been. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in Spain. Peace.